Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good evening. So today I want to talk about reimagining health, stamina, mana pools. So I want to start off with saying that in general I'm pretty frustrated with a lot of video games, or rather games in general I guess. I don't really like how players or characters have so much health um, that it makes it where you can do calculations where you can take hits and not have to worry about them, or vice versa, enemies that are super spongy and they can uh, take a billion hits. After you do about 100 or 50 attacks, you're like, do I really need to do 400 more to say that I've completed this boss or enemy in general? And then vice versa. Oh, and then opposite that, I guess I don't. I also don't care for things being one shot. So I don't like getting one shot, obviously, and I don't really care for one-shotting enemies too much. I would like a little bit more complexity within the interactions between um, characters and foes. Now, maybe there's a proper time for sponginess slash uh, one-shot lethalities. Like if you're doing a headshot or um, I don't know, you're attacking some ballista or something. But in general, it's relatively tiring. So for my reimagining, I'm trying to rethink how health, stamina, and mana works slash functions. And so I had to go back and kind of learn about where it came from. And for the most part, it came from Dungeons and Dragons originally. The way how they do stats. So Dungeons and Dragons, for those that don't know, they have Constitution, Dexterity, Strength, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. And I believe it's changed around a little bit, but they've settled on those six scores. And for video games, like From Software games or whatnot, they are similar, different names, but they are similar in the sense that they do the same thing. They function the same way. I'm a little bit more lenient on video games because they have to use code, zeros and ones, so it makes sense that they would rely on the numbers. But for TTRPGs, we don't have to do that. We don't have to rely heavily on stats, on number stats, because TTRPGs are a language dominant media. They're not a code or number based dominant media. So I think TTRPGs can really become something more. And so I want to change the way how lethality is thought of, how mana pool, health pools, and whatnot are thought of. That doesn't mean they can't be there, but I think they can work in really interesting and unique ways. So my thesis is I want to rework health, stamina, and mana so as to integrate these things into the world, thus diminishing numbers within the game. And so a little bit of backstory of kind of what also pushed me towards this. So at my job, at the end of a batch, I have to bundle documents. And so, as I'm working, I'll often listen to music as I'm bundling, and I'll enter this flow state as I'm working. But I instantly get taken out of the music, out of the flow state, whenever I need to add or subtract. And uh, at least that's how it is for me. I don't know how it is for everyone else. So I'm thinking, what if I reduce addition subtraction um, in TTRPGs, since it is a language dominant media, and then that will help keep people in the flow state of the game, and people will be able to role play a little bit deeper and fall into the world a little bit more. So for the concept of health, I want the dice, uh, or rather, sorry, the dice are your health, your stamina, and mana. So for the concept of health, I want it to be the the system that I'm working on, the 1d12, known as the soul die, and this die can be used to push an action. And the dice are akin to aspects of a character's soul, known as the hues. When one is wounded, the soul die is diminished. Thus, the 1d12 is reduced by one dice category until it reaches 1d4. Once the soul die is diminished beyond that, it is effectively extinguished, effectively leaving the character dead and dying, and or dying. And then the player can kindle one of their air dice to enhance the soul dice, keeping the flame alight and their character alive. So for stamina, one's turn is equivalent to a single breath. So you breathe in, breathe out, and that's your turn. So what can one accomplish in the realm of all with a single breath? Quite a lot, actually. So the concept of stamina is akin to one's will, as the mind wills one's body to persevere. So the stamina is the 1d4, 1d6, 1d8 dice, known as the air dice. And then respectively, the 1d4 is the power air dice, the 1d6 is the focus air die, and the 1d8 is the nimble air die. While air dice perform actions, the particular die augments an action. So for example, a strike action using a power die would give you a power strike. Or consequently, the focus die will give you the focus strike, or a nimble die, the nimble strike. So fatigue, this concept, directly connects the health and stamina together. So as combat wanes, fatigue sets in, thus the soul die is rolled at the beginning or the end of one's turn. I haven't quite decided yet. And natural ones, the PC is haggard, thus unable to perform an advanced action. Rolling a critical success, and the PC gains a second wind. When rolling the soul die at the beginning to see if the PC is haggard symbolizes the chaotic aspect of combat, it will most likely lead to frustration due to not knowing if they are able to perform an advanced action during their turn, leading to a lack of planning, an incentive to be invested in the combat, causing disengagement. So, with it being at the end of the turn, the haggard state plays into the state of the character, breathing out and then allowing for deeper role play as it sets the stage for the following turn. And then P.S. there are some things that can be imbibed to circumvent this. So you can smoke or drink or eat certain things to get around that. As for mana, there is the inner air that all life has within, and the outer air, which resides outside the living. And magic practitioners have learned to marry the inner and outer airs. And inner air generates boons and banes when one rolls a critical success or failure. Lore-wise, that may be something like blue or red mana. And then boons and banes are cards one pulls from the world deck and can be used for a variety of things. And certain abilities may require a certain air die, boon, or bane. And cards are not necessary for play, by the way, but can be used as a jumping off point for roleplay. While all disciplines have innate air within, it is the mages that truly utilize such forces, allowing boons and banes to execute powerful skills or cast greater spells. And I do realize that this can be a bit much, so I'm thinking I want to introduce certain feats, flaws, or traits to simplify some of these mechanics further for those who do not want as much complexity when they play. However, that's the default state of the game. So that concludes this video explaining explanation about the TTRPG game that I'm working on. If you have any questions or need me to clear things up, feel free to comment down below. And until next time, God bless.